when I first saw Harlan County, USA in 1976, I was so moved by it and so emotionally ripped apart by it. The time that you had to spend, the years that you had to spend with those miners in Kentucky. The commitment that took, that wasn't a liberal showing up to be a poser. That was somebody who was in it, fully committed, and risking her life in the process of making that film. And I listened to you speak at Ann Arbor screening, and I was 21 years old. And I just remember that night very well because I was too shy to come up and say anything to you. But I wanted to thank you. You did it again and again. You did it in the Hormel film, American Dream, in 1990. But you did something else too that I recognize as a 21-year-old, and that is how many documentary films had I seen by women in 1976? I mean, any of you who are my age or older, go ahead and start making the list. I'll wait. Just didn't happen. Didn't happen. That you sit here amongst us now as this pioneer at a time when it is now 40 years later since you were there in Harlan County. And that this industry, this Hollywood, this film industry, the New York Times article from 2 months ago, that 2% of the movies made last year and distributed by Hollywood were by women. 51% of the population, 2% of the movies. It's such, to call it, I don't know what name to put on that, but the fact that we've gone all these years from a pioneer like you in nonfiction, you did this, and that we are still talking about this, it's that it's even a thing. Now, in documentaries, it's not 2%. So on one hand, you ignited something and inspired other women to do this. And our branch of documentary filmmakers of the Academy, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty certain it's a good third, maybe 40% at this point, or approaching that, are women. 2 of our 3 governors at the Academy for our branch are women. I think we're the only branch that can say that. So it is a tribute to you and to everybody in this room who decided that women at the table is a good thing, a necessary thing, and it's immoral to operate in any other way. I can't imagine what that was like for you in the 1970s to do this. The fact that you were an intern on Salesman, and that you've run the gamut, that you were there, as you called yourself, the human tripod during Gimme Shelter. It's just, and before I give you this award, if you don't mind, I mean, the Maisels, I know you've spoken so much about them over the years and what they've meant to you, and that they were willing to have a young woman be part of their machine and then go on to make your own things. That we lost Al this year, and if you don't mind, not out of any religious reasons, but just because I think he deserves it, that his name be mentioned, and that we pause for just a minute, not to say a prayer if you want, but I'd like to just pause for a few seconds and have each of us think about our favorite moment watching a film, something from Al's films, Al and his brother. Would that be okay to do that? Can we do that right now for Al Maisels? Barbara, thank you on behalf of all of us in here. Thank you for making these films. Thank you for giving the working class a voice in your movies. Thank you for making one of the best concert films with the Dixie Chicks. That, if you haven't seen Shut Up and Sing, you have to see this movie. It's such a remarkable snapshot of when we got into the Iraq War and what happened to them, because they just said, she just said one thing, Natalie, on a stage in London. She said, I'm ashamed to be from Texas, because George Bush is from there. And that was the end of them. It was the absolute end of them. And she documented their last album, their last tour, and it's so powerful that you gave these women the voice, that they were willing to stick their necks out when nobody else would. When that war started, liberals lined up behind it. The editorial from Bill Keller of the New York Times, the editorial from David Remnick of the New Yorker magazine, the 29 Democratic U.S. senators, including the ones from this state, that voted for the war, all got behind it. Dixie Chicks left out on a limb, and the limb then sawed off. I was there with them on that limb. I got to go on and make movies. They did not get to go on and make records. You documented that. That's there forever. We're going to have that as a moment that needs to be remembered and shared with future generations. Please, everybody, join with me in a very warm and thankful round of applause for the great and wonderful Barbara Kopple.
Oops. All right, Michael, you really are a hard act to follow. But Michael Moore, I want to thank you. And I also want to say that I love your films, and I love your sense of fearlessness. And your new film is so much about humanity and what we as Americans need to do to change. It's full of hope, and I know it's going to do so well, and it's going to give us so much to chew on and so much to work on, and it's really brilliant, and I love you for it, and everything else you've done. Boy, Docs NYC, you are extraordinary. Thank you for this major award. And also, you're totally spoiling me. I mean, I don't understand it. Never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought that this would happen, that I would get a Lifetime Achievement Award at my young age. And that you would show Miss Sharon Jones at Toronto, and it would be the opening night film tonight for Docs NYC. I mean, what am I going to do tomorrow? This day for me, Thursday, November 12th, is just indelible in my soul. And Tom and Rafaela, you guys are so amazing. Look at this community that you have put together in such a short amount of time. It's like a family. We come together, we talk about our films, we care about each other, we praise and support new filmmakers, and for me, I'm just so ecstatic to be here, and everything that you guys do is done with such grace and love. Thank you. The documentaries I'm so inspired by them. They just keep coming and coming. The documentaries with unforgettable characters and unbelievable stories. They're amazing, and it just is beautiful to see how many filmmakers put themselves on the line. Films are never made alone, and there's somebody here that I'd like to talk about, which is David Cassidy. David Cassidy came and worked with me as an intern, and for some wild, crazy reason, he decided to hang in there. And now for years, he's been my producing partner since the Dixie Chicks. And he's so smart and really has my back, and I have his back, and he's so much fun to go out on location with. And I think working with someone, for me, it's about trust. And David, I trust you so much. You are so beautiful. Thank you. As Michael sort of intimated, we as documentarians love to have our films in theaters. And I know that whenever a film of mine is in a theater and I'm invited to go, I never come back for the Q&A. I cannot be moved from my chair. I want to learn from the audience. I want to see when people smile. I want to see when people laugh. That's what makes it worth it to me. I was here last year giving a Lifetime Achievement Award, speaking in this very place. Tom, get that phone. Giving it to Al Maisels. And as Michael said, we lost Al Maisels this year. And I can barely imagine life without him. He and David gave me my first job in film. And he loved this community. This community gave him so much joy. And for me to stand here where Albert stood and accept this award is so meaningful. Thank you very much.